Before we go into it, somebody tweeted that I should ask you about your theory that George Russell will use a special engine and win his home Grand Prix. Is that something you mentioned on your Ziggo show?
Yeah, I had and I said it's not even a theory. I said I have a little devil in my head, and then I went back to Brazil last year, because last year in Brazil, you remember, they were taking a penalty. They had to take a penalty on Lewis's engine. There came a new engine, and on that Grand Prix, according to Mercedes, he had a rocket engine. What they've done is they put that engine on the quali mode, and after 350 Ks, that engine's done. They use it for the Grand Prix, never used it again. He never got an engine like that again. And I only said, I have something in my mind, and I think because of the weather is what it is, it's variable weather, and then it's more difficult. If this would have been a complete dry weekend, I said, if they want, that's the only thing I said. I didn't say, in the end, I said, I'm not going to say they're going to do it, but if they really want, they can say, 2020 wasn't the top season for us, but George Russell taking pole on the British Grand Prix, winning his first Grand Prix and whatever, by using an engine up in one race. They could have done. That's what I said. And I have confidence enough, if that theory comes into my head, or if that little devilish thing comes into my head, that I'm open to say, because you can do it. I've talked to an engine guy who says, of course you can do it. Only your engine will be ruined after 250 kilometers. But yeah, if for the record books, if they would have wanted to do it, they could have. But I think the weather prevented that.
Oh, well, there's a good theory. I like it. The person I want to talk to you about, obviously, I suppose, because you know Max Verstappen better than most people.
Yeah.
You followed his father before him himself, before Max himself. So how important is it, do you think, for Max to win here at Silverstone? And I mean in particular because of what happened here last year and also the controversy at the end of the season.
I don't think that Max is the kind of driver who thinks much about the past. He's definitely a guy from here, now, and the future. That's why he took his long-term contract with Red Bull Racing, because that's also part of the way he thinks and the way he is. Also, on moments like happened last year, in the moment, of course, he's cross about it. But then later on, he also goes in, my words, well, shit happens, done it, it's behind me, I can't change it anymore. So I don't think he, and I said over this weekend already, they are so relaxed. Everything in Red Bull Racing, in the garage, the way he goes out there in the wet, the way he does what he does best, even spinning and saving the car, he's good like that. He's not too worried about stuff like that. I mean, to be totally honest with you, I feel that the British press / tabloids and Sky have sort of kept on going on what happened last year at the final race, which, of course, FIA's taken action about that, and you can say whether it's right or wrong. He took the most of the moment, and Red Bull Racing took the most of the moment, and Mercedes was just going for track position, and if they wouldn't have done that, and I've said this before, but not on your show, if I would have been Toto Wolff in the situation in Abu Dhabi, I would have told Bottas to park the car as soon as the field for that last couple of laps went on. Park the car in a situation, we have a problem, there's another safety car, and the race would have been won by Lewis. He would never, I mean, so they left out so many things on that, in my opinion. I'm not their team principal, and I'm not their tactical boss, but Max is not really into stuff like that, and he doesn't shrug it off. I know that he doesn't shrug it off. He has his personal opinion on stuff like that, but he's wise enough, mature enough to say what he says and to cope what it does. I mean, I could see by his face in the post-qualifying interview that there was some booing from the grandstand, that he sort of, on his face, I could see he could hear it and think, if they want to do it, they do it. I win tomorrow. That's how he thinks.
And what's your view on the booing? Because I've often thought that in football matches and other sports, the booing is part of showing passion from the crowd, and that we should, in a way, celebrate that people feel passionate enough to boo or cheer.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I said to someone not even half an hour ago, I said, there's something weird going on. I feel a sense of footballism entering Formula One, which wasn't there, because in the old days, you all went to your circuit, there wasn't basically I feel in the old days you didn't have a home race and an out game like you have in soccer, and now it feels more like that. If Lewis comes to Zandvoort, it's hostile territory. If Max comes to Silverstone, and that has, in my opinion, never been in Formula One. And the honesty about it, and that's what I also feel, is that all the things that happened around Corona, where we had races without fans, like the first one in Austria, which was with fans during or just after the first Corona period, a lot of Dutch people went there just to have fun. They didn't even watch the race. They just went there, and they were like soccer people. They were cheering in the grandstand for overtakes and stuff like that. And I want to be there because I want to be part of it. I don't know nothing about racing. Know nothing about racing. Haven't got a clue. See what happens. But I'm having a ball of a time. And so there is something, and it's good. Yeah, you notice as well. There's some footballism is getting into it. What I feel is that booing to a team or to the other grandstand, possible, is different than booing to an individual sportsman, whether it's Lewis or whether it's Sebastian or whether it's Max or whatever. Because you're more, in my opinion, you're more vulnerable as a racing driver when you stand on your own in front of a grandstand or on top of a podium that people do when you. It's different than in soccer, where it happens from one grandstand to the other, or from one team to the other, or sometimes from a guy who did a bad tackle. Then they sort of boo for 10 minutes, and then he knows, I've done something wrong, and then he continues.
And you touched on this business about Corona and Formula One changing. Let's talk about that a little bit, because this week we've heard that ESPN have a new deal with Formula One, paying much more than they were in the past. You yourself have been, to some degree, a victim of the. Not that it's harmed you, I'm sure, but the change in the TV rights holder in the Netherlands because of the increase in interest in the sport. What's happening now in the Netherlands with a world champion? What's the scene like around Formula One?
No, they're still very, very passionate about it. What I feel what's happening in the world of, say, television rights is that Formula One has now seen. Formula One management has seen that the big streaming services are offering a whole lot of money because, it's their business. We sell the stream, people take the stream, and if we have 800,000 times 15 euros, we have an X amount of money, so we can pay that amount for the rights, whilst TV companies will have to put in the money first and then hope through advertising they will get it back. I feel that, I might say 2-3 years, Formula One and big sports are going to think about that, whether that's the right way to go. If you go for streaming only, and basically in the US, because of what ESPN has done, because Amazon wanted to get into there, Netflix wanted to get the live rights, but now luckily it's still with ESPN. If you take away a national broadcaster, which is in the standard television business, let's put it that way, and not a streaming, you can have a streaming beside that who has more rights or more in depth or whatever. What happens right now in the Netherlands is that also darts, which was very, very good and famous, darts has gone to a streaming service. But the problem with that is any darts event in Holland doesn't sell tickets anymore because the people don't see it anymore. There's only so much money that the people can spend. And I'm not talking about managers and people who are wealthy enough who don't give a D, whether they have and Disney and Amazon and Netflix and whoever for 15, 16, 17, 20 euros a month. But I'm talking about the big group of people, which is the working class people who besides have to pay more for their gas and the stuff they buy in the supermarket, have to think about, can I spend 15 euros, 20 euros extra per month to see what I like? And if it's unvisible on a national platform and just visible on a streaming platform, I feel that in the future, sports will, it'll hurt them in a way. I'm not sure whether that's going to happen to Formula One, but it could be. My personal opinion is, if ever you do streaming, make sure that you still have a national broadcaster who maybe is not allowed to do anything on Friday night, just say qualifying and race live for the big group of people who can and who want to watch that. I haven't been hit by what's happened in Holland, by the way. ViaPlay has bought the rights, not even in Holland, but in a lot of countries. They're a big player in this sport, which in my opinion is good for the sport. They've chosen to run a completely different path, which didn't include me anymore. That happens in sport. People thought, yeah, but you must feel this or that about it. No, I don't. There are new commentators there, which are guys who are having their dream job. And they're being bashed on internet because people say, yeah, but it's not like you. And I say, listen, these are young guys. It's the opportunity for their life to become a Formula One commentator. Yes, I've done this for 31 years, but I know things happen. And eventually, I'm just over 60 now. In 20 years, I'll be gone anyway. So if that point happens, but to bash these guys and you know how the internet can be. That's the wrong way of doing it. I mean, no one deserves that, and you cannot compare two young commentators to an experience. I mean, imagine that halfway through whatever they would have taken away Murray Walker from England and put two youngsters. Yeah. People would have. I mean, and it's not fair. Yeah. You can't do that. I mean, you've been in the paddock. You know how it works, and of course, everybody who works in the paddock thinks they're very important and no one can replace them. Well, I've got news for you. Anytime, any place, anywhere.
Nicely put. And of course, one of the blessings from that situation is that if you're a Dutch-speaking Formula One fan around the world now, you can get access to yourself and to Jack because of what you've done with Grand Prix Radio. Is that right? If a Dutch fan living in Indonesia or in China or in the USA could get your commentary now.
Yeah, well, and that has been the case for 5 years. Only now, because we've disappeared from national television, it suddenly has become a bigger thing. And of course, there are more people doing that. But we've been doing that for over 5 years, and we just did it for people who are working in a hospital who can't watch the race, taxi drivers, people in trains, or whoever. If you can't work, you at least have the commentary, imagine, and have the look and the feel of what's happening in the race. What people nowadays do, and also that's, of course, basically modern and also old-fashioned. Like 20 years ago, when everything was still analog, a lot of people in Holland said, I'm going to watch the national soccer team. But I don't like the commentator that the NOS has put there, so I'm listening to Radio 1. And basically, what people now start doing is say, well, I put my television on ViaPlay, or I put my television on Servus TV, or whatever they can find, or the F1 Pro TV app. I kill the audio, and I listen to Grand Prix Radio. That's what they do.
Yeah, that's what I would do if I spoke Dutch.
Well, it's basically, it's a service. And of course, the only thing we've built in is that you can pause the radio, which a normal radio station you can't pause. And in the app you can pause it, but you can pause the F1 Pro TV app. You can pause Spotify. You can pause anything nowadays. So that even isn't that strange. And for the younger people, they feel it's okay. And we don't hurt television because we say you have to watch. If you want to see the race, you have to watch television. Get your contract. Do what you like. There is a choice if you want to listen to something else, and maybe the future will be starting a company with commentators where you can give people a choice. If you don't like the commentator your Star TV or whoever has chosen, we give you an option. Why not?
Yeah. And the other thing, if I'm not mistaken, Grand Prix Radio is 24/7, 365 days a year. There's music and Formula One news, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, basically what we do is we started off with Alexander Stevens, who was a DJ for Radio Veronica in Holland, which was from a boat 15 miles out of the coast, so it wasn't in Dutch territory, so there is a bit of piracy there. And he's a music freak, and I'm a race freak, and I also love music, so we combined our music for love and racing. Our station calls also We Love Speed, as in the speed of speed, not in the speed people tend to get in Amsterdam. That's different, but we love speed. And all if you listen to our station, of course it is in Dutch and the DJs are in Dutch, but it's 24/7 on updates and news and things from the world. English spoken interviews, because we are a rights holder with FOM, so we can use some of the F1 interviews they have on the site. We have a podcast which is called F1 aan tafel, which is F1 at the table. So we put 4 guys on a table talk about F1. No video there yet, nothing, and that streams 80,000 people a week, every week, and
Fantastic.
we're in the top 2 or 3 of the sports, and every now and then we're the best sport podcast there is. So basically, we've got a sort of sub-media line. I don't know whether that's perfect English, but something like that. So we're not mainstream media, we're not pirates, but we're sort of in between. We have modern tools, and we use those to the max.
And that's what when you were talking about earlier about national TV stations being part of the mix, that's what you are with Grand Prix Radio. And I agree with you. I think one of the issues that we have with the growth of Formula One in Asia is that Formula One has been pretty much available only on cable television, which, to your point, that's managers and above, in your words, people that can afford to pay for that. And that means that the number of people that get exposed to Formula One that might fall in love with it or even gain interest in it is always limited, because it's a niche sport, and that for the long-term growth of the sport in the way that F1 has with the US, I think there needs to be a strategy that involves this tiered structure that you're describing, broad, and then all the way up to niche operations like you have with Grand Prix Radio.
Yeah, but because it's still fact that the television stations, and now because they've gone in, and some of the streaming services, they pay the money where the teams are being paid from, and that's still a very, very, very big part. But the only thing is also because in Europe, like the European Commission, Bernie Ecclestone would do a 10-year deal with RTL in Germany, but the European Commission said, to be fair and to give other people fair competition, you can only make 3-year deals for television. And with streaming, it's completely different. And Netflix has grown over immensely during, of course, the Corona, and Netflix has built Drive to Survive, and through that they gained America. So now we have 3 Grand Prix in America. One I like, which is COTA. The other one I've seen I don't like, because that to me was the wrong way around. Miami to me was, I looked at an event venue where they said, oh God, we have to make a racetrack. No, it should be the other way around. If you look at, not because it's Dutch, if you look at Zandvoort, that's a racetrack, but if you look at it on TV, it's a venue. It's a racetrack built into a venue. And Miami to me was the other way around, with the fake harbor and all that stuff. And I didn't really like the track itself. And I'm afraid that Las Vegas is not going to be much better than that. No. COTA is COTA is a fantastic circuit. And that's why the Americans who weren't invited to watch Formula One by Netflix, that's where the Americans who loved Formula One were going to. And to me, that will stand out, because that's a genuine racetrack.
Let's finish on Max, if we can, and the Verstappen story of 2022, because on some of the comments you made earlier, it sounds like Max is more relaxed than ever and driving. Do you think he's driving better than ever?
I think he's driving better than ever. I think he's... The trick is, he came into Formula One as the youngest, but his goal was to become world champion. He's ticked that box. He's not doing luckily, he's not doing a Nico Rosberg. Well, I'm world champion, that's it, bye-bye, I'm out of here. But I feel I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another world title, or maybe 2, and then at a certain point he says, well, okay, been here, done it, dusted it. Yeah, I can continue for another 10 years and make even more money than I do, but there's also funny things in life. I like to go to a circuit with my family, because him and Jos, they have a rally car, they have some Porsche, where they do some track days with family every now and then they're having fun. And if you've been on circuits ever since you're 5 years old, every weekend competing, you look for some fun. And then you go and live in Monaco. Yeah, well, in the Grand Prix, I don't like being there, and outside the Grand Prix, it's not even fun. So I mean, to get to a certain fun point in your life, I can imagine. I mean, I'm not saying it, but it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't continue until he's 34, 35, whatever.
Yeah, makes sense. And were you surprised how close Sergio Perez to Max early in the season?
It was necessary, so I was very happy about it. And then sometimes if he has a free practice 1 or 2 where he's 6 or 7, I said he's falling back to his 21 standard. I think the trick of the new car was that the car itself was neutral. It didn't have much oversteer, didn't have much understeer. And I know that Max likes a pointy car. Also in that light this week, Damon Hill said, yeah, but they've put the car now in a way that Sergio cannot drive it anymore and whatever. I don't believe in all that. Christian Horner himself says Max still surprises us if he gets a car which is not even his 100%. He says, okay, that's it. And he works his way around it. And that's there was Rubens Barrichello was also a guy. If you give him a car which is not 100%, Rubens could still do 100+% with that. Whilst other guys, name Zanardi, Heidfeld, if something wasn't completely top with the car, it was shite anyway, and they didn't do anything with it. Basically, that's exaggerating, but that's the difference. Okay, this is what I have. I can still do 100% with what I have. There's no part in moaning about what you don't have. And maybe a little thing on that. Maybe that's crawled into Lewis's head. I haven't said this yet, so it's a first for you. Why is George Russell doing what he's doing? George Russell is used of driving with his Williams, because that's what he's done, is used of driving a car which is not perfect, but take 110% out of it. And Lewis had a 110% car, which he could, at 105%, win multiple races with. That still wasn't easy. That still was very difficult, and kudos to him. But right now, as Mercedes is in 2020, it's comfort zone for George, because he's used having a car like that. And Lewis is just saying, yeah, but I'm missing this, and I'm missing that, and I'm missing this, and I'm not used to miss that. So that, to me, it's completely logical that things happen like that. Yeah,
absolutely. Fantastic.
I have a funny mind. I have a funny mind.
No, I was thinking actually that if I had a Grand Prix team, I'd want you to be part of the team on the strategy side, as the guy in the room who's creative with the thinking and thinks, have we added up 2 and 2 here and made 6 sometimes?
Oh, yeah, I do it in my commentary. I predict lap times, and just by looking at the sector times, I see, okay, he's 2/10 up to the -3, or that's a P5, and it gets a P5. That's funny, eh?
Nice one.
AWS now. AWS this weekend has a new graphic for that. I said, yeah, well, that's what I've been doing for years, explaining stuff as it happens, calculating and saying, oh, this is that. That's. I still love that in my sport, to be totally honest.
And I love talking to you. It's been fantastic. Really appreciate your time, and great that we can share our chat with F1 fans around the world. So it's been brilliant.
Very good.
Thank you.
Not the
Thanks,
first.
Ollie.
It is the first, but not the last. Not the
last, definitely not.
All right, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joe.